Yo, 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 yo. Yes, sir. Just in case y'all don't know, it's going down. Okay. A lot of y'all like to talk about aliens. You don't have no sources. You don't quote nothing. You just get to saying stuff. But we ain't playing today. We're not just talking today. Oh, no, no, no. We're not just talking today. We for real today. It's going down. Hold on. Let me get some more people up in here. Oh, you up in here? You the first one up in here. They talking about the aliens again. That's right. And I'm about to make sure everybody know. Let me spread this around. Let me share this. Let me share this. Let me share this thing. And let me get y'all ready while y'all getting ready. It's going down. You are tapped in with the real
Black Illuminati.
Oh.
You know, when you're a black man in America, you gotta make something out of nothing, baby. You gotta wiggle, you gotta move, you gotta finesse, you gotta tap in. That part. Gold chains, heads wrapped like a Saudi. Tap in with the lokes. We the black Illuminati. We be posted at Lemert Park, hustling, catching bodies. A dripping OT. Thirsty peaches flew to Saudi. Money schemes, my niggas had dreams of riding Bugattis. Now it's 4-finger rings supreme with kings around me. Watch me turn the metaphysical to physical. It's not just lyrical, it's literal. These guns get rid of you, the spiritual. Spit out, let drip off a nigga lip, but get up in you and rip you up like 100 hollow tips. Bismillah, Iraq, Rahim. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Elijah Muhammadeen. Had a dream last night on some other shit. Farrakhan and Malcolm X pulled up in the mothership. Talking about UFOs, black kings and queens that was rich as fuck, swimming in pools of gold. But niggas like you don't wanna hear that though. You were descended of one of them snitches or dudes that told the white man about all the fucking Jews and gold. And that's how everybody in the crew got sold. Fucking blabber mouth, I don't like his type. Pull that ratchet out, we tapping in. All these bitch niggas doing is tapping out, tapping out, tapping out, tapping out, tapping out, tapping out. Gold chains, heads wrapped like a Saudi. Tap in with the lokes, with the black Illuminati.
So you see that one? Yeah.
Oh, we back at it.
That's that we are back at it. In the hood entertainment. You feel me?
Another night, man.
That part.
You never know what's gonna bring.
See, I ain't know if it's in the hood music, in the hood clothes. That's where they go. In the hood entertainment. It's in the hood entertainment.
Everything.
In the hood entertainment. And without further ado, I bring to you
Our national security.
the aliens.
Yes, and here's why. The technology that we faced was far superior than anything that we had, and you could put that anywhere. If you had one, you captured one, you reverse engineered it, you got it to work, you're talking something that can go into space, go someplace, drop down in a matter of seconds, do whatever it wants, and leave, and there's nothing we can do about it. Nothing.
Okay, you two?
Well, I would also like to add, from a commercial aviation and military aviation perspective, we deal with uncertainty in our operating space as a matter of our professional actions. Identifying friend from foe is very important to us. And so when we have unidentified targets and we continue to ignore those due to a stigma or a fear of what it could be, that's an opening that our adversaries can take advantage of.
What steps should be taken to better understand and respond to UAP encounters in the interest of national security?
There needs to be a location where this information is centralized for processing, and there needs to be a two-way communication loop so the operators on the front end have a feedback and can get best practices on how to process information, what to do, and to ensure that their reporting is being listened to. Right now, there is not a lot of back and forth.
Mr. Grush, in your complaint to the intelligence community inspector, Inspector General, you claim that you believe information is being hidden. What kind of information do you think was hidden, and do you think it should remain hidden?
Yes, I can speak to that very briefly in an unclassified manner. As you know, the preponderance of my complaint was classified to the intelligence communities. Both material acquisition and exploitation activity, also baselining the UAPs, but not sharing it with, intelligence professionals that are actually doing step briefs to pilots, that kind of information. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we'll What of Mr. Garcia?
Thank you. Again, thank you all for your service and for testifying today. Want to just talk about UAPs as it relates to what we're seeing in pilots' interaction with UAPs. Particularly, Mr. Graves, one of the I think, concerns that from members of this committee is this idea that pilots, there's no system to actually report UAPs and the stigma around pilots. And so can you just briefly, you mentioned that you're working with 30 pilots right now that have had encounters with UAPs, but you've also, I believe, discussed and know of many more pilots. This is just those that you're currently working with. Is that correct? Can you expand on that?
Certainly. I'll break that down in two ways. First, when we were first experiencing these objects off the eastern seaboard in the 2014 to 2015 time period, anyone that had upgraded their radar systems were seeing these objects. So there was a large number of my colleagues that were detecting these objects off the eastern seaboard. They were further correlating that information with their other onboard sensors, and many of them also had their own eye sightings as well of these objects. Now, that was our personal firsthand experience at the time. Since then, as I've engaged this topic, others have reached out to me to share their experiences, both on the military side as well as the commercial aviation side. On the military aviation side, veterans that have recently got out have shared their stories and have expressed how the objects we were seeing in 2014, 2015 continued all the way to 2019, 2020, and beyond. And so it became a generational issue for naval aviators on the eastern seaboard. This was something we were briefing to new students. This is something that was included in the notice to airmen to ensure that there was no accidents. And now with commercial aviators, they're reaching out because they're having somewhat similar experiences as our military brothers and sisters, but they do not have any reporting system that they can send us to.
And let me just add, both to Mr. Fravor as well as Mr. Graves, not having the system for reporting, would you both agree that is harmful to not just our national security interests, but to understand this phenomenon of what's happening with UAPs?
I think it's actually a travesty that we don't have a system to correlate this and actually investigate. You know, so if you took the East Coast, you know, there's coastal radars out there that monitor our air defense identification zone, so out to 200 miles. They can track these, you know, so when you see them, they could actually go and pull that data and get maneuvering. And instead of just having the airplanes, there's other data sources out there. And I've talked to other government officials on this. So you need a centrally located repository that these reports go to. So if you just stuck it in DOD, you wouldn't get anything out of the Intelligence Committee because they have a tendency not to talk. But if you had a central location where these reports would come in, not just military, but also commercial aviation, because there's a lot of that going on, especially if you talk to anyone that flies from here to Hawaii, over the Pacific, they see odd lights. So I think you need to develop something that allows you a central point to collect the data in order to investigate.
Mr. Graves?
I would concur with everything Mr. Fravor said. I'll continue to say that the commercial pilots that have reached out to me through Americans for Safe Aerospace are doing so because they don't feel there's another way for them to report this safety issue.
And I think one of the clear outcomes of this hearing already is that there has to be a safe and transparent reporting process for pilots, both on the commercial side and the military side, to be able to report UAPs in a way that's also transparent, but also understands the scope of our national security interests and what may be classified or not. But I think there has to be some sort of system, and so that's something that I hope can be an outcome that this committee can work on. Is there anything else for the two of you briefly beyond this reporting system that you think that we can do as a government to encourage and facilitate more civilian reporting?
We're doing it right now.
Okay, great.
I think this hearing is going to show the American people that their government takes this topic seriously.
And how about civilians that may not be pilots? What kind of process could be in place for civilians who are not pilots, who may have UAP encounters? Do either of you have any suggestions that could facilitate that?
My recommendations would be to make that a sensor-centric operation in order to make it as objective as possible.
Okay, sir, Mr. Fravor?
No, I agree with Mr. Graves on that.
Okay, just briefly, I also just want to note, particularly for the two pilots, and I have a question for Mr. Grush. One of the things that I found fascinating in our discussion, Mr. Graves, last night as well, is that you both described UAPs and formations and the way they are observed in space or in our air, and the way that they move is essentially ways in which current technology or aircraft that we know of are unable to actually function or move. And so will you just, for the public record, again, once again, briefly, just either describe or note that aircraft that are being witnessed, particularly by the 30 folks that you're working with, are essentially outside the scope of anything that we know of today and the technology we have today. Mr. Graves, Mr. Fravor?
Yes, the objects that are being seen by commercial pilots are performing maneuvers that are unexplainable due to our current understanding of our technology and our capabilities as a country. And that applies for the military as well.
Mr. Ferrer?
Yeah, I concur with that. We have nothing that can stop in midair and go the other direction, nor do we have anything that can, like in our situation, come down from space, hang out for 3 hours and go back up.
Thank you. My last question, and sometimes I know that you have also said some of these answers in the past, but we're trying to get them on the public record as well, which is really important. Mr. Gresh, finally, do you believe that our government is in possession of UAPs?
Absolutely, based on interviewing over 40 witnesses over 4 years.
And where?
I know the exact locations, and those locations were provided to the Inspector General and some of which to the intelligence committees. I actually had the people with the firsthand knowledge provide a protected disclosure to the Inspector General.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, I would just say that I think that these questions are important questions, and I look forward to being involved in the process to get those answered. I know there'll be a lot of questions from the committee members, so I yield back.
Thank you. We'll go to Mr. Burchett himself.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Garcia. I would like to have you on my legislation to do just that on the reporting, and we'll get together on that. Maybe you can be my co-sponsor on that. That'd be really cool. Thank you for those great questions. Mr. Graves, again, I'd like to know, how do you know that these were not our aircraft?
Some of the behaviors that we saw in a working area, we would see these objects being at 0.0 Mach, that's 0 airspeed, over certain pieces of the ground. So what that means, just like a river, if you throw a bobber in, it's going to float downstream. These objects were staying completely stationary in Category 4 hurricane winds. These same objects would then accelerate to supersonic speeds, 1.1, 1.2 Mach, and they would do so in very erratic and quick behaviors that I don't have an explanation for.
Okay. Have you spoken to commercial and military pilots that have seen these off of our East Coast?
I have.
Okay. Mr. Favor, I noticed that in the Tic Tac video, it's Tic Tac like the candy, not TikTok like the Chinese Communist app.
That's correct.
Yes, sir. I just want to make that because my daughter corrected me on that and called me a boomer and said, "Hey, boomer," and I said, "No, baby, it's Tic Tac like the candy. You're gonna have to just look it up." And but I would also like to say today is a day of many firsts. It's a miracle that we're having this meeting, and it's also a miracle that my wife has put up with me for 9 years today. Today is my anniversary, so I want to tell my wife happy anniversary and that I love her very much. As she likes to say, this 9 years have been the best 2 years of her life. So thank you. Mr. Favor, what astonished you the most about the flight capabilities of these Tic Tac, very briefly?
The performance, absolute performance. It was.
And you're not aware of any other objects that anybody in the world has in this world that has those capabilities?
No, I think it's far beyond actually our material science that we currently possess.
Are you aware of any other reconnaissance platforms that have tracked or recorded?
Peace to the God, master student. Of course I'm covering this. I have to cover this. This is part of the Blue Bible. Unless you don't got a copy. And if you don't, you need to hurry up and get one. And if you do, you need to tap in. Because just getting it ain't enough. You got to study it. And if you go to page 32, 33, 34, I break all this down. Then you can even go to page 114. I'm breaking this down. Who we really are. And why this is not the only time that we see unidentified flying objects or unidentified aerial phenomena. But it's a pattern when we see it. We usually see it when we're getting under too much distress, too much dis-ease, when the enemy is doing too much and we might need a little help. This is what Wallace Farr Muhammad talked about. This is what Farrakhan talked about. We have a big family that's more than just what we see right here on the surface of this earth. It goes underneath this earth. Oh, yeah. A lot of those phenomena come from out the water, out the ground, out the mountains and the caves. Bro, oh, yeah, it gets deep. Because alien ain't got nothing to do with the sky. It got to do with the tribe of Ali. Oh, you got your copy? Within 32, 33, 34, 114, For sure. And for y'all that don't, tap in, and I'll be back reading some of that. Peace to the guy. You got your copy. I'll be back reading some of that for y'all. But in the meantime, let's get back to what these people is talking about. I mean, they having the hearing live in our face.
Not the same object though that you were looking at, correct?
No, we actually joked that the Tic Tac was communicating with something when we came back, and because the whitewater disappeared.
We were in another instance, we're told about the capabilities of a jamming during viewing of when there were some people chasing some of these objects. Did you experience any of that jamming or interrupting your radar or weapons system?
My crew that launched after we landed experienced significant jamming to the APG-73 radar, which was what we had on board, which is a mechanically scanned, very high-end system prior to the APG-79. And yes, it did pretty much everything you could do: range, velocity, aspect, and then it hit the lock, and the targeting pod is passive. That's what we were able to get the video on.
I'm about to run out of time, but are you aware of any of our enemies that have that capability?
No.
Okay, I would also like to know for the record that like George Knapp breaking Area 51, he's the reason I knew about that. And the reason I know about the Tic Tacs is Leslie Keene from New York Times article, and I would encourage everybody to read that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back to you for no time.
Very good. Mr. Raskin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Graves, you reported UAP encounters during training flights, I think, and have since come forward to warn the Pentagon that these encounters may be putting pilots at risk. My first question is, you've identified these as taking place on the East Coast. Is it just on the East Coast where these encounters have been reported?
No, since the events initially occurred, I've learned that the objects have been detected essentially where all operations, Navy operations are being conducted across the world. And that's from the All-Domain Anomaly Resolutions Office reporting.
All right, can you describe your experience after you decided to come forward and go public with your experience?
Certainly. Like many others, in 2017, I saw the New York Times article come out as well. And for me, it was special because I recognized the voices on the video. I recognized the video itself. I had seen it when it was taken. I'd seen it when it was debriefed. And so that was kind of shook me because I realized that this problem was still ongoing. And so I reached out to colleagues back on the East Coast and realized that this was still a safety risk that they were dealing with, that they had essentially hit a wall with how they could move forward on this conversation. It was at that point when I decided to try to move the conversation forward myself.
Are there common characteristics to the UAPs that have been cited by different pilots? And can you describe what the convergence of descriptions is?
Certainly. We were primarily seeing dark gray or black cubes inside of a clear sphere.
I'm sorry, dark gray or black cubes?
Yes, inside of a clear sphere, where the apex or tips of the cube were touching the inside of that sphere. And that was primarily what was being reported when we were able to gain a visual tally of these objects. And that occurred over almost 8 years. And as far as I know, it's still occurring.
I take it that you're arguing what we need is real transparency in a reporting system so we can get some clarity on what's going on out there, because there are many pilots in your situation, but we should have a way of developing a systematic inventory of all of such encounters. Is that right?
Yes, and I think we need both transparency and the reporting. We have the reporting, but we need to make sure that information can be promulgated to commercial aviation as well as the rest of the populace.
Mr. Grush, what about you? What was your experience after you came forward?
Well, it's only been about 2 months or so. So I guess my experience has been overwhelming support from former colleagues of mine that have privately messaged me, and I do appreciate that. But I do have knowledge of active planned reprisal activity against myself and other colleagues, and it's very, very upsetting to me.
Coming from where?
Certain senior leadership at previous agencies I was associated with. And that's all I'll say publicly, but I can provide more details in a closed environment.
Okay. Well, I hope you understand that there would be bipartisan rejection of any attempt to vilify, demonize, or engage in other reprisals against our witnesses and people who are telling the truth from their perspective.
Yeah, there were certain colleagues of mine that were brutally administratively attacked. And it, actually makes me very upset as a leader to see that happen to other coworkers and actually superiors of mine over the last 3 years.
How do you account for that response? That seems like a bizarre response.
I call it administrative terrorism. That's their quiver, their tool in the toolbox to silence people, especially, the career government service cares about their career, cares about their clearance, their reputation to climb the ladder. And when you threaten that career path, a lot of people back off. But I'm here to represent those people. So,
Mr. Fravor, what about you? What has your experience been since you've come forward with your perspective on this?
Actually, I've been treated very well. And the 6 people that were involved, myself included, all of them have or will be retiring from the military as 05s or 06s. And all my friends that are very senior, 3 and 4 stars, I've talked to them. They believe, they understand there's a problem, but no, I was actually treated really well.
And what is your general interpretation of these phenomena, or what is your current thinking of trying to make sense of them?
Well, I'll say, I'm not like a UFO fanatic. It's not me, but I will tell you that what we saw with 4 sets of eyes over a 5-minute period, still, there's nothing, we have nothing close to it. It was amazing to see. I told my buddy I wanted to fly it, but yeah, it's just an incredible technology.
All right, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I'll yield back to you.
Thanks. On to Ms. Luna.
Mr. Grush, in speaking to you yesterday, I just wanted to follow up on Representative Raskin's questions. In the last couple of years, have you had incidences that have caused you to be in fear for your life for addressing these issues?
yes, personally. Yeah.
I just want everyone to note that he's coming forward in fear of his life. To put in perspective, if they were really not scared about this information coming out, why would someone be intimidated like that? To your knowledge, are NHIs working with adversarial foreign governments in either technology exchange programs or back engineering programs?
I don't have data on that. I'm not sure.
Have you heard or you had people come forward to present that evidence?
Not that particular evidence that you just espoused.
Okay, on the 19th of April, Dr. Crip head of Aero, had said that he did not find any evidence of UAPs. You also stated that you had, in your interview, that you had briefed him on information that you were uncovering, but that he did not follow up with you. Were the items that you divulged to him pertinent to national security?
Yes, him and I had a classified conversation in April 2022 before he took over Aero in July 2022, and I provided him some concerns I had.
Do you know why he might not have followed up with you?
Unfortunately, I cannot read his mind. I wish he did. I was happy to give sage counsel.
So as we see here, he's basically snitching. He's letting y'all know that the people with the real power are going to holler at us. You feel what I'm saying? He's not just free to just say this like that. But the question you got to ask yourself is, if why does this need to be such a big secret? Why? What's the big deal? It seems they would be able to control us more with more fear, right? It's because they know what's really going on. They're not as dumb as you're thinking. This been going on. I can remember back with what was the dude name when they was coming from Grenada? What was, God damn it? What was the dude name? It was a dude. It was a black man. He was a prime minister down in Grenada, dark-skinned man down in Grenada, and he was letting the whole UN know that it was people coming to, it was, you know, the big homies coming to visit him. You feel what I'm saying? And straight up, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna give y'all 30 seconds and I'm gonna go look it up. Let's see if y'all can figure it out before me. Do I need to check the comments or did y'all not get it? Let me see, man. Should I even waste my time checking the comments? Y'all didn't get it. Let me just put this up here for y'all. Y'all ain't even get it, man. Y'all playing. Y'all playing. Y'all playing for real. Let me go ahead and put this up for y'all. And when I reveal this to y'all, y'all gonna know once and for all who is the real Jesus.
Oh my God, it's so cozy.
So as we can see right here, okay. Hold on. Let me make it a little bigger. Make sure y'all can see this, okay? There we go. It says the United Nations, New York, October 7th. What's the year though, y'all? October 7th, 1977. They've been having these meetings about these people, about these our big homies coming down here to holler at us since 1977. Stop playing. Stop playing with me. Please stop playing with me. Now let's read what it says. United Nations, New York, October 7th. Grenada's prime minister picked a drowsy Friday afternoon to share a personal revelation with fellow diplomats. He says, I have myself seen an unidentified flying object, and I have been overwhelmed by what I have seen. This is Sir Eric M. Gary, told the General Assembly today, explaining why he had asked that it was discussed UFOs and related phenomena. The announcement did not exactly stun the delegates, possibly because when he has come here over the last few years, Sir Eric has talked about psychic research and the strange disappearances of ships venturing into the waters of the Bermuda Triangle, not too far from his own island. In the half assembly hall, the atmosphere was one of solemnity. One West European was seen doing his telegrams for dispatch before the weekend. A clutch of Arab diplomats arrived late and greeted each other in the customary Middle Eastern fashion, hugs and kisses. The prime minister promised that in spite of his own experiences, he would keep an open mind, taking no categoric theoretical stand on the question of UFOs. Well, what's being left out is this prime minister of Grenada is what they like to call a black man, but we like to call the Aboriginal man, the original man, the Asiatic original man. And guess what, y'all? He been seeing this. He been talking about this because at this time, it was a lot going on. You had Martin Luther King just got assassinated. Malcolm X just got assassinated. It was all type of wars going on. Elijah Muhammad had just passed. Haile Selassie had just passed. It was time for the ancestors to come down here and check on us. A lot of our women around the world was tapping in, you know, getting vegan, growing their hair out in the afros, tapping into their sciences. So I guess a lot of that's going on now. You see all these dreadlocks and all everybody tapping in, talking about they spiritual and all that. Motherfuckers been tapping in, and now the big homies want to come down here and tap in with us. You understand me? It's really just that simple. I can't even give you too much. You feel what I'm saying? But I'm going to come back and read some of this Blue Bible for y'all. But before we do that, let's get back to the UAP's hearing. Let's do this.
Some, I would call it abuse here. So congressional oversight of conventional special access programs. So I'll use Title 10, so DOD as an example, right? So 10 U.S. Code Section 119 discusses congressional oversight of SAPs, discusses the DepSecDef's ability to waive congressional reporting. However, the Gang of Eight is at least supposed to be notified if a waived or waive bigoted unacknowledged SAP is created, and that's public law.
Well, so that how does, I mean, I don't want to cut you off, but
Yeah.
how does a program like that get funded?
I will give you generalities. I can get very specific in a closed session, but misappropriation of funds and
Does that mean
self-fund.
that there is money in the budget that is said to go to a program, but it doesn't, and it goes to something else?
Yes, I have specific knowledge of that. Yep.
Do you think U.S. corporations are overcharging for certain tech they're selling to the U.S. government, and that additional money is going to programs?
Correct, through something called IRAD.
Okay. Satellite imagery. Let's talk about satellite imagery. We have satellites all over the place, some that we're aware of and many that we're not aware of, right? We're taking pictures of everything at every point and second. Mr. Grush, are you aware, do you have direct knowledge, or have you talked to people with direct knowledge that there are satellite imagery of these events?
That was one of my primary tasks at NGA, since we process, exploit, and disseminate that kind of information. I've seen multiple cases, some of which, to my understanding, and of course, I left NGA in April, so that's my information cutoff date. But I personally reviewed both what we call overhead collection and from other strategic and tactical platforms that I could not even explain prosaically. And I have a degree in physics, by the way, as well. And I am aware that you guys have not seen these reports, unfortunately. And I don't know why.
Do you have direct knowledge, or you had spoken to people with direct knowledge that this imagery applies to crash sites, crash imagery?
I can't discuss that in an open session.
Okay. Do you have any information that the U.S. government is involved in a disinformation campaign to deny the existence of certain UAPs?
I can't go beyond what I've already stated publicly in my News Nation interview because it touches other sensitivities.
Okay. I'll yield the balance of my time back. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Fox?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I thank our witnesses for being here today. Mr. Garouche, in your sworn testimony, you state that the United States government has retrieved supposedly extraterrestrial spacecraft and other UAP-related artifacts. You go so far as to state that the U.S. is in possession of, quote, non-human spacecraft, end quote, and that some of these artifacts have circulated with defense contractors. Several other former military and intelligence officials have come forward with similar allegations, albeit in non-public settings. However, Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, the director of AARO, previously testified before Congress that there has been, and I quote, no credible evidence thus far of extraterrestrial activity or of, quote, off-world technology brought to the attention of the office. To your knowledge, is that statement correct?
It's not accurate. I believe Dr. Kirkpatrick mentioned he had about 30 individuals that have come to Aero thus far. A few of those individuals have also come to Aero that I also interviewed,
Okay.
and I know what they provided Dr. Kirkpatrick and their team.
Okay,
I was able to evaluate
okay,
that information.
I need to go on.
Sure.
But my understanding that his statement is accurate, came from a direct quote. And this contradiction is a perfect example of why we need to inject transparency into our government. And for another example, look no further than the pitiful response to the Chinese spy balloon debacle earlier this year. You may remember the mass confusion that ensued when the balloon was first spotted over Montana, 4 days after it first entered U.S. airspace over Alaska. The Biden administration's initial inability to address the object grew into a continuous series of embarrassments. After news of the balloon reached the mainstream media, we were assured that the balloon posed no threat to our security. However, after the balloon was allowed to transit the entire continental United States, fighter jets were scrambled off the coast of South Carolina to shoot it down. This flip-flopping and obfuscation caused needless confusion, fear, and panic across the country. It's my hope, Mr. Chairman, that this sort of confusion will not be repeated. We should investigate the extent to which elements of our government possess or do not possess information that is of critical value to the American people. We owe it to the citizens of this nation to make sure that our government is transparent and accountable. We must make sure that our government provides answers, and Congress must do its duty to solicit those answers. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Yeah, Mr. Frost.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In 2022, NASA announced that it was commissioning an independent study team to examine UAPs. The NASA team is comprised of scientists across different fields, as well as former astronauts and pilots. In May, the independent study team held its first public meeting, which included the perspectives from NASA senior leaders, as well as perspectives from the Department of Defense and intelligence agencies. The NASA study team is also expected to release its first report pretty soon, and I think it's safe to say that we all eagerly await its results. Mr. Graves, how might NASA's research influence the commercial industry regarding safety in UAP?
I think NASA has a big role to play as far as commercial aviation safety, and it's one of their original charges as an organization. One of the recommendations that have been put forward is to utilize their existing aviation safety reporting system to serve as a short-term fill and trusted platform for pilots that want to report on UAP. It also has built-in analytics capability and is funded by Congress.
Gotcha. And also, Mr. Graves, are there any other industries that may be influenced by the NASA research on UAPs? And if so, how so?
Well, I think there is a large swath of commercial capabilities that could be brought to bear on this topic, from space-based or ground-based sensor systems that are available open source or through commercial marketplaces. And I think NASA's work, as they work to identify and highlight specific parameters that can be found, we can take that information and promulgate this through the public sector so that we can have a more open conversation about what we're seeing.
You know, in 2020, the Department of Defense released several videos of UAPs, including Mr. Freier's experience, U.S. Navy pilots that recorded footage. In 2021, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence released a preliminary report on UAP events. NASA Administrator Bill Nelson stated that NASA would begin to investigate these events. In fact, I sit on Science, Space, and Technology Committee, and when we were doing a hearing with the NASA Administrator Bill Nelson, I asked, why NASA needed to be fully funded, and there were many great reasons, but one of them was actually had to do with UAPs. He actually mentioned, is there life out there? I don't know. And so either way, these actions ultimately led NASA to assemble the independent study team that I mentioned earlier. Also in 2021, Harvard University stood up the Galileo project to research and examine the origins of UAP. So it seems like both, from NASA and in the higher education community, because of the work that y'all have done and people standing up, I think we're seeing some of that. Mr. Freier, feeling empowered to share their UAP experiences has directly community.
Came out of the way. I mean, I've talked prior. I mentioned you've been left off the hill, and now we're sitting here today for a public testimony on what's actually going on. I'm hoping that this curve will be more of an exponential, and we'll get more and more transparent to the level that we can.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, it's important. I couldn't imagine. I'm not a pilot, but I used to fly gliders in Civil Air Patrol. Yeah,
Pilot?
I mean, and so either way, I mean, I couldn't imagine, being in the glider and seeing something, and then not feeling like I had the agency to talk about it. Mr. Graves, can you discuss the importance of seeking scientists to sit on your advisory board?
Absolutely. I think ultimately this is going to be a scientific problem. And not only that, it's also an engineering problem. I've been working with the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics to help them stand up a UAP integration committee to help integrate their engineering prowess into this problem. And so, yes, very much. I think this is an engineering and scientific problem as much as a national security problem.
And how might Congress help to facilitate partnerships between the scientific community and the UAP focus groups within government?
Well, I think one of the things they can do is to have these types of hearings to communicate to the public that this is a topic of interest. I think that there is a pseudo market, if you will, of interested capabilities and talent that want to approach this topic. And we're seeing that start to grow now. So I think continued conversation, reduction of stigma is going to allow that to flourish and allow answers to help generate themselves.
100%. Well, thank you all for being here and thank you for your work. I think it's important that we keep our top scientific minds focused on this issue and look for ways to increase collaboration. Thank you so much. I yield back.
Mr. Comer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me say I want to thank you for having this hearing, and I want to thank Mr. Burchett, Ms. Luna for leading this hearing. And with that, I yield my 5 minutes to Mr. Burchett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to direct this, I believe, to Mr. Grush, but if any of you all feel like you need to jump in, just jump right in. We're good. Has the U.S. government become aware of actual evidence of extraterrestrial, otherwise unexplained forms of intelligence? And if so, when do you think this first occurred?
I like to use the term non-human. I don't like to denote origin. Keeps the aperture open, both scientifically. Certainly, like I've discussed publicly previously in 1930s.
Okay. Can you give me the names and titles of the people with direct firsthand knowledge and access to some of this crash retrieval, some of these crash retrieval programs, and maybe which facilities, military bases that the recovered material would be in? And I know a lot of Congress talked about we're going to go to Area 51 and, and there's nothing there anymore anyway. It's just, and we move like a glacier. And as soon as we announce it, I'm sure the moving vans would pull up, but please.
I can't discuss that publicly, but I did provide that information both to the Intel committees and the Inspector General.
And we could get that in the skiff if we were allowed to get in a skiff with you. Would that be probably what you would think?
Sure, if you had the appropriate accesses, yeah.
What special access programs cover this information, and how is it possible that they have evaded oversight for so long?
I do know the names. Once again, I can't discuss that publicly and how they've evaded oversight. In a closed setting, I can tell you the specific tradecraft used.
All right. When do you think those programs began, and who authorized them?
I do know a lot of that information, but that's something I can't discuss publicly because it's sensitive.
All right. If any of y'all want to jump in on any of this, you're more than welcome to. What level of security clearance is required to fully access these programs?
Well, anybody who has...
and I say that because myself, Representative Gates and Representative Luna were basically turned away at one point at Eglin. So please go right ahead.
Certainly difference between member access and say somebody like me, but anybody who has a TSSCI clearance and meets the eligibility criteria, the access adjudicative authority should be able to grant you access.
Ms. Burchett, if you'll yield. So just to put a fine point on that, there's nothing that you're aware of.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, player. What level of clearance do you need for this information? So while y'all running around thinking the white man, the Mason, the government, that's why I don't talk like that. When you read the Blue Bible, you get specific names, specific places, and specific information that you can Google this shit. All right. Oh, yeah. Shout out to the brother Will Justice. Hey, bro, we got to get one in. You know what I mean? We got to discuss the Blue Bible or something. But yeah, like the brother said, man, Behold the Pale Horse by William Cooper. You feel me? He was one of the first ones to reveal this. This been going on. I just showed y'all the brother from Grenada, the prime minister. I got to show y'all that again. But before I go into that, we can go into videos of Farrakhan, W.F. Muhammad. I mean, we can go on and on. But I want to read y'all something from the Blue Bible. And then I'm going to give y'all about 10, 15 more minutes. And I'm going to see if I can go over here to Killer Priest real quick because he ain't there today. So let's see if we can get everybody. When I'm done with this one, when we done talking about the aliens, let's all go to Killer Priest. Y'all follow me over to Killer Priest. We're going to light the comments up. I'm going to hop in there, and we're going to set that thing off, man. I need to sell some books this week, man. I need to pay my rent, y'all. I'm not trying to go back to selling dope and trapping on the block. Let's sell these books, man. You got your family want the book, tell them to get the ebook for $13. If you just want the ebook, holla at me. I'll get you the ebook for $13. It's in the description of all my other videos. I don't know if it's in the description of this one because I had to go live real fast. But we got the ebook. If you just want to make some donations, you can go right there in the comments. I got it posted, the Cash App, because people have been sending me super chats. I hate that shit. You got to wait to get it. YouTube want to take 30%. Fuck all that. You want to give me some donations? Because you know I'm out here. This all I do is teach. You know what I'm saying? Nigga might be going through anything. Y'all see me with the same shirt on and shit. You know what I'm saying? So you want to give me some donations so I can get more of these books to the homeless, to the homies that don't got the bread like that, to get more ebooks out there and to get more promotion of the truth so I can make more of these lives so I don't got to work and all that. And I can really get this information to y'all. Let's go. The original people, the names that we use, they stole them. So Adam comes from Atom. Okay, and what about Cain and Abel, though? Did y'all know that? Check this out. Page 32 of the Blue Bible. Page 32. Even the names of Adam's sons, Cain and Abel, belong to the original people. The English name Abel was derived from Abu El, which is Arabic for Father God. His family name is Eli in Latin. In its proper form, it is Ali. His children were the Aliens, known today as aliens. They are the creators of the people of Adam, first known as Adamu. Don't tell me it's the Anunnaki and all that. Yeah, bro. And they're us, but they're our ancestors. They look a little different. Because we, the sons of God that slept with the daughters of men until we no longer, until the creators became the creation, as it explains on page 33. Check this out. Millions of lies have been spread with the intent of hiding the identity of the aliens. Pictures of cartoon characters in outer space are used to discredit their travels as astronauts. Illustrations and myths of Anunnakis are used to conceal the truth of the original tribes that include the Anu, that's A-I-N-U if you want to Google it, the Anu, that's A-N-U if you want to Google it, and the Vadoma, that's V-A-D-O-M-A if you want to Google it. The Vadoma is the niggas with the ostrich feet, the real Anunnakis. Yeah, you don't believe me? Well, who knows who the Vadoma is? You got 30 seconds. Are y'all ready? Are y'all ready to see the Vadoma tribe? Are y'all ready to see the Vadoma tribe? I don't see no comments in there, but I ain't gonna hide it from y'all. I'm about to show y'all the Vadoma tribe. Can y'all see it? Can y'all see it up on the screen? Y'all see him with the ostrich feet, right? Yeah, the same way they described the Anunnakis. The people of the Vadoma tribe live on the banks of a small river in the Zambezi River Valley of Zimbabwe, a sub-Saharan African nation. This tribal group in the Kanyemba region of Zimbabwe makes a living mainly through hunting and fruit gathering. 1 out of every 4 children born in this substantial minority of Vadoma has 2 toes due to genetics. Their feet are missing the middle 3 toes, except for the big toe and the little one. This is a condition known as ectrodactylia, in which the middle 3 toes are absent and the 2 outer ones are turned in, resulting in the tribe being known as the 2-toed or ostrich-footed. Man, I mean, bro, I can go on and on with this for you. Matter of fact, let me come back. Let me stop this screen and show y'all the other screen. I want y'all to really see this. I don't want y'all to think I'm playing about this at all, okay? So let me stop that screen and share this other screen. Y'all ready? Are y'all ready? Here it come again. Is it up there? I love this shit. Look at that. Look at that, man. So stop thinking everybody looks like me and you. The doggone tribe, the Vadoma tribe. It's a lot of tribes that look a little different than me and you that are our ancestors that been traveling back and forth to the sun, moon, and stars. Okay? The people of, back to page 32 of the Blue Bible. Get your copy of the Blue Bible if you don't got one, bro. You deserve, don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself, not letting yourself get this real high level knowledge. Get your copy of the Blue Bible so you can know these tribes by heart. You can know who they are, how they connect, and what's going on. Now, the people of Ali were responsible for the great civilization of Atlantis. It was their descendants that designed the great structures of Egypt. Their cousins were the family of Cain, known in Arabic as Yam or Canaan. The land they came from still bears their name today, Canada. Within their nation existed countless families, tongues, and lands. Still, as a whole, they were all Canaanites. When you hear the story, the Bible stories of when they first ran to the Canaanites, they were all big, and some of them had 6 toes and 6 fingers, and they fought these wars with them and Goliath and all that. I explained in this book that Goliath ain't nothing but saying Gullah with the if on it. These are some Gullah niggas, Gullah Geechee. Yeah, bro. Oh, it goes back deep. Let's keep going. The Canaanites of Yam are the characters of mythology. Some are remembered as dwarfs and leprechauns. The scholars of the West call these people pygmy. They refer to themselves by their own respective names. Amongst them were tribes of tall people, now remembered as giants, angels, and aliens. They were all children of God, born before other kinds of man, i.e. mankind. Mankind is other kinds of man. Before other kinds of man was the original man, the gods. Before other kinds of man was the original man, the gods. As revealed in the book of Genesis, chapter 6, the sons of God slept with the daughters of man. As time passed, their offspring became lighter, shorter, and weaker. Today, it is difficult to find anyone possessing 6 digits on their hands or feet. It seems the creators, Elohim, have failed and become the creation. I mean, it's getting so deep, y'all. This is what I'm going to do for y'all. I'm going to stop that screen, put back in the UFO, UAP hearing, because we don't want to miss too much of that. You know, before I get up out of here with y'all, y'all got to get that.
Do you know anything different other than the official explanation of those lights?
Only what's in the public vernacular about it. That was outside the scope of my duties.
And if we wanted to, just my question along with my colleague from New York, Ms. Ocasio-Cortez, if we wanted to find out more about that, where would we go to find the files, and who would we address? And are you going to tell me we need to go to a SCIF so you can tell us in a SCIF?
I could potentially give you a vector on that. That specific case, I'm familiar with it in terms of public, but I give you a vector in enclosed environment, yeah.
That would be good, thank you. So if it's true that UAPs are having an impact on training ranges, and this administration considers it to be a legitimate issue, what steps can Congress take to address training range impacts? And I say that having 2 very large training ranges in my state. And so we'll start with Mr. Graves and going down the panel.
Some of the initial procedures have been implemented, such as within the United States Navy, that have a range failure report that gathers information from pilots. I understand that a service-wide reporting mechanism is still pending. However, that would be a great next step, not only for gathering information, but for showing the troops that it is an acceptable topic and reducing the stigma.
Okay, please, all of you continue.
Yeah, as a recipient of a lot of those training range reports, sometimes we only get contextual kind of oral reporting. It'd be nice if they attached all sensor data and there's a system in place that can handle multiple classifications of data. And that's an issue with the F-35, right? That jet was never built to be an ISR platform. And it's a pain in the, we'll just say butt, to get that data off, so.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I would agree with the previous 2, being a user of those training ranges, that the data has to be out there. You have to acknowledge that you're seeing them, and then you have to collect the data. Right now, you get the report, someone says, I saw something, but no one collects the radar data to back it up and do research.
Okay. Do you believe that the 2019 classification guidelines for UAPs interferes with the federal government's ability to be transparent with the American people? And do you think we need to be more transparent with the American people? All of you, yeah.
I'll say yes to that.
Yeah, I'm familiar with at least the UAP Task Force 2019 Security Classification Guide. I think it's fair. I did actually help author that with the.
Oh, you got a bias that
Yeah,
way then.
but I will say, I'll call it a lazy attitude about declassifying videos. I mean, I've seen some of the videos of the recent shoot down, and I saw no reason that couldn't have been released as long as they mask, some data. The American people deserve to see that imagery and full motion video.
I would think, well, in my opinion, I will say things are overclassified. I know for a fact the video or the pictures that came out in the 2020 report that had the stuff off the East Coast, they were taken with an iPhone off the East Coast. A buddy of mine was one of the senior people there, and he said they were originally classified at TSSCI. My question to him was, what's TSSCI about these? They're an iPhone literally off the vacates. That's not TSSCI. So they're overclassified, and as soon as they do that, they go in a vault, and then you all have to look for them.
Yeah, so with the overclassification, that may be one way. Are there other ways that the DoD or intelligence agencies are keeping this information from the American people or even from Congress?
I think part of that has been not encouraging reporting. If the problem is not something that can be measured, it's not something that's going to be fixed.
Okay, very good. But I'm out of time, and I thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.
First of all, without objection, Representative Nick Langworthy of New York is waived on the subcommittee for purpose of questioning witnesses at today's subcommittee hearing. And then we go to Mr. Burleson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate you guys coming out today, testifying. Look, I've been here for 6 months, and I'm pretty skeptical. I don't trust anything in this town. And so I think that's because I'm from Missouri. You've got to show me, right? With that being said, there's been a lot of things that have been said in the public, Mr. Grush. And so I want to get down to, if we can, some specifics, right? So at one point you had said that there has been harmful activity or aggressive activity. Has any of the activity been aggressive, been hostile in your reports?
I know of multiple colleagues of mine that got physically injured, and the activity
by UAPs or by people within the federal government?
Both.
Okay, so there has been activity by alien or non-human technology and or beings that has caused harm to humans.
I can't get into the specifics in an open environment, but at least the activity that I personally witnessed, and I have to be very careful here because they tell you never to acknowledge tradecraft, right? So what I personally witnessed myself and my wife was very disturbing.
Okay. One of my constituents actually sent this next question, and I figured I'd ask it since I had the same thought. You've said that the U.S. has intact spacecraft. You said that the government has alien bodies or alien species. Have you seen the spacecraft?
I have to be careful to describe what I've seen firsthand and not in this environment, but I could answer that question behind closed doors. Yeah.
And have you seen any of the bodies?
That's something I've not witnessed myself.
Okay. And so with that being said, and the other statement that has been made that was intriguing to me it's intriguing because my view has been that we are billions of light years away from any other system. And the concept that an alien species that's technologically advanced enough to travel billions of light years gets here and somehow is incompetent enough to not survive Earth or crashes is something that I find a little bit far-fetched. And with that being said, you have mentioned that there's interdimensional potential. Could you expound on that?
I'll get to answer your first question, and I'm here as a fact witness and expert, but I will give you a theoretical framework, at least to work off, to kind of espouse crashes, regardless of your level of sentience, right? Planes crash, cars crash, n number of sorties, however high, a small percentage are going to end in mission failure, if you will, as we say in the Air Force. And then in terms of multidimensionality, that kind of thing, the framework that I'm familiar with, for example, is something called the holographic principle. It derives itself from general relativity and quantum mechanics. And that is, if you want to imagine a 3D object such as yourself casting a shadow onto a 2D surface, that's the holographic principle. So you can be projected, quasi-projected from higher dimensional space to lower dimensional. It's a scientific trope that you can actually cross, literally, as far as I understand, but there's probably guys with PhDs that we can probably argue about that.
But you have not seen any documentation that that's what's occurring.
Only a theoretical framework.
For those that don't understand what they're saying now, they're going so far to say this may not even be from another physical planet. This may be from another dimension. He's saying that he knows the mathematics that were laid out to lay out a theory for people traveling through dimensions. I said people, but beings, as they want to say. I'm telling you, it's everything you've been calling a joke within religion. He just told you that there's a level of intelligence in other dimensions that knows how to cast itself like a shadow onto our dimension. So we can see it like a hologram and experience it, but he ain't even here. This some shit, if you read a spiritual book, you'd be like, oh, get that spooky bullshit out of here. But when the devil says, I bet you're considering it now, huh? Interdimensional. Oh, yeah, where's Bonnie the guy? You just said that. Yeah, I said you just said that, bro. Let's go deeper, though, now that we've opened the Pandora's box. Page 114 of your blue Bible. If you don't got one, you better tap in, get your physical, $33, or you can get the ebook for $13. Just download the ebook if you need to. Because think about it. Your family need this. Your cousin need this. Your little brother. We got to raise the vibration. It don't matter if you don't even agree with this stuff. I know you want to at least have a better conversation. Man, I be up in the post office sometimes. People be trying to steal the book. They see blue Bible. They go, oh, people don't even speak English. Everybody need to read this. Stop playing. And if you got one, get another one. Give it to your brother. Give it to your cousin. Give it to your grandma or something so y'all can talk about, y'all can debate over this. This the higher level. You need about 20 books just to get into what they talking about here. You Google this shit up in here, you're going to be boop, blah. I'll prove it to you. Page 114, we there? Okay, third paragraph. It is less of a threat that we believe we are savages, beasts, and slaves. In this age, we are aware that we are children of the Pleiades star system, the Sirius B star system, the moon, Venus, and other bodies of light in the heavens. There are men like Simon Kimbangu or Simeon Toko who achieved regeneration and taught it in Africa, as was written in the book of Mark 16. Now, I know y'all like, hold on. Where you going with this, nigga? Regeneration. That's why I said it. Regeneration. And taught it in Africa, as was written in the book of Mark, chapter 16. Don't believe me? First of all, what is regeneration? For those that don't know, let me break it down for y'all. It's the book of Mark. All right? Book of Mark, chapter 16, verse 4. We're going to skip to verse 4. We ain't going to read the whole damn thing. But when they looked up, they saw that the stone, which was very large, had been rolled away. As they entered the tomb, like a crypt, a tomb, where a crypt is where you put the tomb. Now you see why it's Crip Jesus? It's the resurrection. As they entered the tomb, they saw a young man dressed in a white robe sitting on the right side, and they were alarmed. He said, don't be alarmed, he said. You are looking for Jesus, the Nazarene, who was crucified. He has risen. He is not here. See the place where they laid him? But go tell his disciples and Peter, he is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him, just as he told you. Wait, hold up. What? We all know about Jesus rising, but who is this Simeon Toko dude I'm telling you about saying that? Yeah, he regenerated himself. See, in the blue Bible, it explains to you that Jesus is not some dude from 2,000 years ago. There's a story about a guy 2,000 years ago named Isa in the Quran, who was a child of a woman named Miriam, who was a child of an ancient Egyptian tribe. That's in the Quran. That's explained in the blue Bible. But that story in the Bible is a prophecy. It's not that it's fake. It's that we wrote it down and we repeat it so much for the last 551 years with that letter J, that now niggas walking around calling themselves Jesus, living it out. It was a prophecy. And I'll prove it to you. In Africa, there's a dude named Simon Kimbangu or Simeon Toko who achieved regeneration. This is page 114 of the Blue Bible. He achieved regeneration and taught it in Africa, as was written in the book of Mark 16. Well, let me show it to y'all. Who's this dude that regenerated and taught it to other people? And y'all serious that Crip Jesus finna reveal this to y'all? This can't be real. Crip Jesus, you got some information? Say it ain't so. Oh, nigga, it's so. Here it go, too.
Oh my God, it's so cozy.
Have you heard of this man? This is Simone Toko, a Congolese black man who it is known had abilities like Jesus. Simone Toko was a believer and was renowned for performing supernatural miracles. As he became more and more known for these supernatural miracles, people could not ignore it. And when he started to preach, more and more people would listen to him. It got to a point that he got so much recognition and notoriety from the people that the cabal had to try and stop him, tried to kill him gruesomely numerous of times. Needless to say, it never worked.
You know, they could shoot him in the head and his skull would just regenerate, the flesh would grow back, and he was fine. And remember, I was told at the time that if I disclosed this, that I would be killed.
As you heard, these attempts on his life just didn't work, and there were numerous of them. Failed after failed attempts. The cabal finally attempted a truce with him. And they said, okay, we're going to bring you to the United Nations. You're getting some type of help from some type of God, and we're going to let you tell your story in front of the United Nations. He later boarded a plane, and it ended up being a setup. They shot him numerous times in his head. They then chopped his body up in small pieces. They put them in radioactive containers that would deteriorate his flesh. They flew these boxes across the world in different places of the world, and they thought that because they did all of this, it would prevent him from regenerating. Well, what happened later in the meeting there at the United Nations?
Well, he then regenerated in their offices and was fully fine, fully intact. But the sad part is that he said, you know, you guys so badly do not want me to be here that I am not going to be able to do any more. In the future, many others like me will be coming, and when they do, you will not be able to stop us.
So what does Simon mean by there will be more like me coming in the future and you won't be able to stop them? Is this even biblical? The answer is yes, this is 100% biblical, and the Bible references it and talks about it in many different places. The first place we'll go is Joel. Joel mentions an end-time army of God that will come at the end of the age. Nobody has ever seen anything like them, neither before or will you see anything like them after. We're talking about everybody before, including Jesus and including Adam. Jesus himself says in the gospel, the church, the sons of God, will do the miracles he did and even greater. Romans 8 talks about the manifestation of the sons of God at the end of the age. It says that they will be glorified beings. Their bodies will literally be changed from a corruptible nature to an incorruptible nature. Their bodies will be supernatural, superior to the natural. And it says that all of creation waits for these sons of God to be revealed, because when their bodies are transformed, so will the rest of the earth be transformed right along with them. The earth will go back into the state that it was in before Adam fell. Once Adam fell, so did the earth fail right along with him. But once the end time army of God, once they're restored, so will the earth be restored right along with them. This same army of God is spoken about in the book of Revelations, chapter 14. It says that these will be the first fruits of God redeemed from the earth. They will wear the name of the Son and the name of the Father.
Wait, what the hell just happened, y'all? No. We can't have that. They trying to stop y'all from getting the whole truth. I'm giving my people the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Can you handle the truth? Can y'all handle the truth? Y'all see, I feel like y'all handling it. What they so scared of? What they so scared of? We are the aliens, nigga. And I proved it. Without a DNA test, without any of that bullshit. Get your copy of the Blue Bible. And if you already got one, get 2 more, nigga. You sitting in the house reading this shit to yourself like this motherfucker, nigga. Everybody need to hear this shit. Everybody. We the blue gods, the true gods. Finish this damn video.
Is the same group of people that the glory of Jesus will be revealed in. Remember, the Bible says the latter house will be greater than the former house. This is the group of people that Simon is referring to, and he knew this by the revelation of God. These people are in the earth today. These people are going through a process of transformation, a process of change, a process of washing and healing and being restored. This is the true reason why Jesus died on the cross. It wasn't for us to live a good life and to go to heaven. If that was the case, what is the cloud of witnesses still waiting for? They're all in heaven. So what promise are they still waiting for? That promise is to come into perfection and to receive the glory of God. There is a people who the Bible says will come into this promise first, and the cloud of witnesses, the great cloud of witnesses, will enter into that promise right along with this group of people. Jesus came to make this way possible so that being restored into this glory that we fell from when Adam's sin could be made possible. And this, regardless to your theology, your eschatology, is what the end time move of God is going to consist of. This is not revival, not simply revival anyway, but it is the final and the greatest move of God that the world has ever seen, where the knowledge of the glory of God shall cover the earth as the waters cover the sea, where every nation, tribe, and tongue shall confess that Jesus is Lord, and every knee shall bow, where the saints of God in Revelations 26 will rule and reign with Christ for 1,000 years on the earth, a nation of kings and priests that will reign on earth. Get right with the Lord, because this day, it will be great if you are prepared.
It's get deep, y'all. I don't even know if I should keep doing this to y'all. Should I keep doing this to y'all? You know what? I'm going to let y'all go. Y'all Google them. I can't do all the work, bro. Get your Blue Bible. Google this man's name. If you don't feel like Googling him and going crazy, just get your Blue Bible then. So you can work your way up to that information. Because that's at page 114. That's towards the ending. So some people ain't even got to that part yet. Some niggas ain't ready for that type of shit yet. Tap in, get your Blue Bible, stop playing with yourself, and we out of here, man. All right? Peace to Divine Family. Go ahead and watch your little, alien broadcast shit or whatever. I think I showed y'all. I think the timing was just perfect. I showed y'all just what y'all need to see. Peace. Matter of fact, let me give y'all a little going out music. You know what I'm saying? Let me not do y'all like that. Peace to Divine Family. Make sure you get your Blue Bible. Oh, yeah, we got custom kufis too. Any color. You see how that's white and blue. We got the red and blue. We got the Moroccan umbrellas. Oh, we going in, y'all. Get right, because when they come back, they're going to want to see if you in your right outfits and got your right names and all that. You know what I'm saying? They ain't going to let us get on the mothership if we up there playing. So you really want to get ready for that mothership, go and get your Blue Bible. You can know the right culture to have when they coming, bro. You keep thinking this shit a game if you want to, all right? And with that said, bro, we up out of here, all right? Peace to Divine Family.
You know, when you're a black man in America, you gotta make something out of nothing, baby. You gotta wiggle, you gotta move, you gotta finesse, you gotta tap in. That part. Gold chains, heads wrapped like a Saudi. Tap in with the lokes. We the black Illuminati. We be posted at Lamert Park, hustling, catching bodies. A dripping OT. Thirsty peaches flew to Saudi. Money schemes, my niggas had dreams of riding Bugattis. Now it's 4-finger rings supreme with kings around me. Watch me turn the metaphysical to physical. It's not just lyrical, it's literal. These guns get rid of you, this spiritual. Spit out, let drip off a nigga lip, but get up in you and rip you up like 100 hollow tips. Bismillah, Iraq, Rahim, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Elijah Muhammadeen. Had a dream last night on some other shit. Farrakhan and Malcolm X pulled up in the mothership, talking about UFOs, black kings and queens that was rich as fuck, swimming in pools of gold. But niggas like you don't wanna hear that though. You were descended of one of them snitches or dudes that told the white man about all the fucking Jews and gold. And that's how everybody in the crew got sold. Fucking blabbermouth, I don't like his type. Pull that ratchet out, we tapping in. All these bitch niggas doing is tapping out, tapping out, tapping out, tapping out, tapping out, tapping out. Gold chains, heads wrapped like a Saudi. Tap in with the lokes. We the black Illuminati.
So you see that one? Yeah.
Oh, we back at it.
That's that one, yeah. Back at it. In the hood entertainment. You feel me?
Another night, man.
That part.
You never know what's gonna bring.
See, I ain't know if it was in the hood music, in the hood.